I don't like that laugh of yours.
Hello and welcome back to This is the Wave. And it's a fucking wave, innit? Uh,
Heat
No,
wave!
it's actually freezing up here.
Hot damn
oh,
summer
lucky
in the
you.
city.
Yeah, I'm in Scotland. It's been fucking raining all day.
Yeah. I'm Ollie
yeah.
Johnson, and we're
It's
here.
nice for some.
And we're
I
here
think I
to.
need a jumper. I think I need a jumper.
I'm Ollie Johnson, and we're here to discuss episode 5. Is it of the Acolyte?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yes,
that's right.
episode 5.
Okay.
Which Dan, you were right. It was called Night.
Yes, in a move that wouldn't take a genius, they decided to go for the obvious one.
Now, is the next one going to be called Dawn?
I mean, one of them has to be called OSHA compliant or OSHA violation or something.
Oh, I hope the next one's called OSHA violation. Because
It may well be. Anyway, let's go around the metaphorical table that we are not actually sitting around and introduce ourselves.
We get
I'm
ourselves a digital table.
Yeah, well, I'm Murasaki's Pit. I'm the casual watcher who doesn't watch Star Wars a lot, so this is just me giving I'm just here for the more neutral view.
Uh-huh.
I'm Trigger Goblin. I'm the anal retentive one who will pick out every little thing and go, "What the hell are you talking about?"
And I'm Dan. I'm currently sitting in the Emperor's throne, and I am the massive fanboy who knows far too much about Legends, but who doesn't instantly distrust Disney because it's not Legends.
Yes, Dan is our resident lore expert.
Yes.
Now, Dan, as you mentioned those who should not be named, do you think it's Disney's thing is literally they're really bad at making series, but they're really good at making films? Because this again still feels to me like a film cut up.
It's possible.
Is this is that third third act huge fight scenes we get in the in most films? Because usually there's just one big chunk of action.
Yeah, it was for a 28-minute episode that they label as 35 minutes because there's 7 minutes of credits attached at the end. And most of it was one form of action or another. I think the quietest period we got was 2 minutes overall, where there wasn't a lightsaber or a fist fight or someone trying to stun someone else.
See, now this is hilarious because this is being marked as the best episode we've got from other reviewers, and I feel like they just want an action thing, don't they? They don't want a story; they just want action. Because if this was their favorite episode, it's like not a lot happened in this episode apart from
I don't know. We got a shish kebab.
No, but that's what I mean. Apart from the flashy combat. I was like, you want to watch Transformers is what you want. You want explosions and violence. Because you obviously don't want story.
You're thinking of Michael Bay Transformers.
Well, no, that's what I said. I said this episode is very Bay, in my opinion.
Well, yeah. I mean, looking at it as a whole, obviously
that's
it's
the
going to
thing.
be.
Because they were looking at it as a whole, and they went, "This is the best episode." And I went, "It was just action. 19 minutes or 20 minutes of this episode?
I mean, don't get me wrong.
Action."
But we got a reveal I called, by the way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I actually appreciate that they didn't try to pull the wool over our eyes with that one. The reveal.
You know what? I appreciate the fact that even though he's doing the Sith thing, he's not doing the stereotypical Sith thing.
Elaborate.
He's being sarcastic and fun.
Yeah.
The whole thing, like when they mention the whole thing, the whole, where it's not like a Sith. When they mention it's not like a Sith to reveal themselves, like, well, I did wear a mask.
Yeah.
That was a good line.
Yeah, and his whole thing, like him actually doing the whole thing, it's not just a whole, I'm being Sith because I am Sith. I am just doing what is natural.
He also
It's just a literal, look, I just want to use my power the way I want to without actually having to be answer to people like you. But there was a lot more implication.
Yeah.
Like
but
in
also,
a lot of his dialogue, there was a lot of implication when he was talking. Like he knew a lot more than what you'd think.
Speaking
And
of
also,
implication, though, he never actually declared himself a Sith.
well, no, he just
No.
said, I'm what you might call a Sith.
Yeah, you might call me a Sith, which, to be fair, there is a habit amongst sort of like certain groups of Jedi to go, they use the dark side, and anyway, they are Sith.
Mm.
And
Yeah.
there's a group of,
Oh.
and there's a certain groups within the fandom who go red lightsaber, Sith, Sith, and then it's like, please, no, I do not
Yeah.
want to get.
Also, is this the first time we've seen is this the first time we've seen someone fight with a lightsaber with their bare arms out? You know, no long sleeves.
Yes, the internet is not coping with it.
They
Oh, for
don't seem to
fuck's sake!
understand that there's
Why?
some
I
sort
thought
of
it was
heat
fucking
shielding on
cool.
this thing.
No,
I thought it was cool because that was the thing that made me go when I was watching it. And, okay, either horny mommy has been putting on her gains, or
Yeah.
this is that guy. And then when I saw his face, I'm like, oh, I wish I could see Ollie's face right now.
No,
I was just
I
imagining.
do appreciate that they made the big reveal someone, like, it wasn't out of nowhere. It was with
Also,
pieces that the audience could put together.
Also, good. Can we just have appreciation for when he looks at her and goes, "You really didn't think it was me. You really couldn't tell."
Yeah.
Yeah, nah, like, see. Now again, I said it could, like, that was one of my theories. It could have been, it could have been him. It could have been someone else. But I thought with what was going on, he was the only one. He knew how to traverse those woods,
Of the
and he
pieces
also.
that were there, he was the only one that fit.
I know.
Yeah.
I'm just glad. I'm just, I don't want to toot my own horn, but toot toot.
Although still, giving the poison to her, knowing it wouldn't count, is a very dick move.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. Look, I know, Trigger. You were right to put, to challenge my theory and everything, and you were right to do so. But yeah, it's a
Because
dick move.
that might be chalked up as a problem with the writing in itself. It's like, wait, why would he do that?
To mess with her to see if she'd actually do it. Like maybe it was a whole. Well, you could either figure out the way to do it right, or I guess you could use the poison.
Yeah,
I'll help you if you want, but I'm gonna kill you at the end if you.
Look, it's one of those. Look, I'm not gonna look. I'm gonna give you the poison, but if you use it, I'm not gonna be angry with you. I'm just gonna be disappointed.
and there will be a lightsaber coming out your back.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, exactly. It was like maybe we just need to look at the poison as it was a test.
Yeah.
Although,
Like, if she took
as we
eaten
talk about lightsabers, dagger at hilt lightsaber is cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The
Yeah, sorry. I just wanted to go back to explain what I meant by the internet is not coping with it.
Yeah,
It's
please
actually-
go on because I thought that was fucking awesome.
Yeah, the internet is not coping with it. It's oh lord, he's hot. He can come round to my place and cry.
Oh, thank God! I thought you were gonna go. With
I
the
thought
whole-
it was something about the episode that was
Oh
bad.
God, yeah, I was worried for a second. You're gonna be like,
internet has gone-
no, you can't show his
completely-
biceps.
The internet has gone completely and utterly horny over his biceps.
You got to
And
be
it
fair,
is-
Speaking of horny, your thoughts on Himbo being killed?
most Star Wars girls get horny over Star Wars characters, so it's all right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, the
A lot of death this episode. A lot of
lot
death.
of death.
Yes, of the eight Jedi that everyone who complained about it said need to die because they saw a red lightsaber. 7 of them are dead. So
And
you
not
know-
only that, the Padawans had a nice little pyramid put into a chest.
Man, I did not see that one coming. I must admit,
What, the Padawan being killed?
I didn't see it coming until I saw the hole. So I was like, oh,
Yeah. I'll admit I didn't see it coming either. But then suddenly it's not even that, he's doing the whole. It was the quick succession.
it was
like,
the It was the
holy-
Brainiac symbol in the chest.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
like, holy fuck!
from
He
what
Dr. Manhattan to chest.
working on
Yeah,
sort
yes,
of a
Ollie.
Shift.
working on sort of a human biology as sort of like a waypoint. Like she got stabbed through both lungs and the heart/spine.
Yeah,
No, but she
she's
shouldn't
dead.
die from that. No, but she shouldn't die from that.
Well, Himbo Jedi shouldn't die from his neck breaking.
A broken neck. So it's just like,
He
no,
didn't survive that one.
Fjord. They get.
Or,
They
I
actually
will say also.
Actually, I think that was the most shocking death on the we saw.
I
It
noticed
was
no
just
one's
literally how he
talking about
just
the fact.
disarmed him and just went, "Poof, bugger this."
I'm speaking of disarming. I'm surprised no one's mentioned the fact that the Jedi like to do the whole. Would rather. They're supposed to be the whole. Only kill when necessary, disarm, and everything. And he did a better job of disarming them, quite literally.
Well, I said this to Ollie
Like,
earlier. This guy
he cut the
knows
light. He
lightsabers and
literally
he can
cut the light.
neutralize them that quickly.
Yeah, he neutralized their lightsabers quite a few times in the episode.
By the
Well,
way,
it
Dan,
literally-
I have a lore question.
It
Is
was
there
every first strike, wasn't it?
yeah, that material in, I assume, his gauntlet and his helmet that caused their lightsabers to go on the fritz? Is there a lore precedent for what we saw?
It's cortosis.
Yeah,
That
I
is
thought it
how
was
raw-
cortosis.
That's how raw cortosis interacts with a lightsaber, which is also why his helmet broke from having a lightsaber handle punched into it twice.
Yeah.
Ice. Cortosis in its raw form, which the more raw cortosis is in an item, the more brittle it is. But the more effective it is against energy weapons and lightsabers because it dissipates energy so quickly and causes the lightsaber glitch where the blade stops working. But there is a point where a lightsaber won't cut through it, but it won't turn it off, and that's relatively stable. But that's also quite a complicated process to do, and sort of the Jedi keep an eye on people doing that because their whole deal is we're able to cut through anyone we want in the name of justice.
Yeah.
It's-
So he cobbled together cortosis armor because
Yeah.
lightsabers couldn't get through it. That's actually, I'm surprised this is the first time we've seen that done.
Although, also
Well, if
notice
it's
how
highly
he's able.
regulated.
Notice how he's able to take on 8 Jedi at once, though towards the end he's struggling against a Padawan with two lightsabers.
It was Sol's Padawan, to be fair, and he lasted longer against him than any of the others. So maybe he's just better.
I'm not complaining about it. I just
Dan,
think
he
it's
was
funny. I
tired
just
by
think
that
it's
point.
I just think it's funny. Like, you're just a Padawan. You can learn from this. Like, oh shit, she's got 2. Fuck.
Well, she took
Yeah.
the second one from May, who took it from the Wookiee, Kalnaka.
Yeah.
I know. There was a lot more fist fighting as well, which was fun.
Yeah.
And also, Soul almost went completely apeshit and almost killed him.
Yeah, there should be a few more good fist fights in Star Wars, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Also, very smart trick to get him out of the fight without making any of them look weaker by putting the droid thing on his back and the light attracting the bugs and taking him off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah, I told you that droid would come in handy.
yeah.
Yeah,
Although,
and not
she
the butt plug.
turns him on and she says, "I love you, Pip," and then just attaches him to the back. Yeah, she does, but she still just sacrificed her. I don't think Star Wars goes into the fact enough that droids are slaves.
Yeah,
Well, they
Yeah.
did in Solo. They did.
Yeah, they did in Solo. They
why
acknowledged
I
it
like-
explicitly.
That's why I liked Solo so much because it did it well. It was like we're going to address slavery in a really good way, and it was like,
Oh, and what about the Switch?
Ah, yes, the Switch.
I don't know if I mentioned it last week when I was doing my notes for episode 3 because I mentioned about the tattoo and how I didn't think that would be a map to Mortis, but more of a symbolization of yin and yang. But I also did have in my notes that is also, along with Osha's arm tattoo, is going to be for the critical moment or when one swaps place with the other, and they will only be able to tell by either the lack of the arm tattoo or the sudden appearance of the head tattoo as to which sister is which. And it's just
Also good to see the delusion is still there. The whole, she flat calls her sister out with the whole, yeah, you were going to burn the place down and kill me.
no.
At least the Jedi saved me. Yes, but what life is it? It's a life. A life
Yeah.
I would not have at all if we'd had your crazy machinations, you psycho bitch. But they brainwashed you. They've brainwashed you. Oh, and you haven't been brainwashed by a crazy guy with a fucking smiling Joker mask?
Yes.
That
Oh,
mask is smiling. That mask is fucking smiling.
oh. Just a question: have any of you heard the main nickname that he's had because of that mask?
Darth Teeth.
Yes, Darth Teeth.
Oh.
When Smilo Ren is right there,
Yes.
they went with Darth Teeth.
Now,
I just thought he
hashtag
looked like- I
Smilo
thought-
Ren.
I just thought he looked like
Why
a
not?
Joker Sith.
Can we not have Darth Gridius?
Darth Gridius. Oh no,
Yeah,
that's good.
Gridius is good name.
They probably go with Rictus because it's a Rictus grin.
You can't have Darth
So,
Rictus.
oh,
If-
fuck.
if-
You can't have that. Ollie's right there.
That was never his name. Oh,
I know it wasn't, but you were always called Rictus.
by one person only.
Yeah,
And that was in a private, sensitive matter.
yeah. No, they won't go with Darth Rictus because, well, Star Wars fans won't get it amongst some of them because I genuinely heard people complaining because they were looking for something to complain about that they didn't stop the fight to explain why the lightsabers were going out. Like, didn't go
Oh, man.
for a side from a Jedi to explain cortosis from one Jedi to another.
They
As-
hit his armor and they go on the fritz. The visual is self-explanatory.
That's like asking, why don't the bullets kill this person with a bulletproof vest?
I mean, that is literally someone sits down to dinner and they didn't. They have to explain the recipe and how to fucking make it.
Yeah, it's a complaint that is made up so that they have something to complain about. That then, if it had somehow actually like if they had actually done that, I would say it would have been a valid complaint to complain about an aside to explain cortosis in the middle of one of the best lightsaber sequences we have had in
It's-
Star Wars.
It's a bit like the
Oh,
cinema
stop.
sins bullshit when it's like this scene does not contain a lap dance. It's like that's not a sin of this film. Fuck off.
That's clearly a joke though. Like as much as I don't like how Cinema Sins does things, that is clearly a joke, and I'll take it as one.
Yeah, but don't put a sin on the counter then. Just leave it as a joke. And...
Yeah,
It's like, if
fair
it's
enough.
if it's a joke, just say it as a joke, but don't sin it. But if he sins it, it has to be counted as a serious thing. And you're like, you want a lap dance in Harry Potter?
I am.
What else are the house elves gonna do?
No, this was with this is the first film with Hermione.
Getting back
Okay,
to
we
the
have some
episode. Do you
serious
remember that bit
questions.
when let's just call him, I don't know, Smilo Ren. He's fighting with those two Jedi. He backhands the other one's lightsaber off and knocks the other with his helmet.
That is a fantastic.
Yes, I did notice, and I thought you'd like a good old headbutt.
Yeah.
That-
Oh.
Introduction to sort of how cortosis works, but it also shows with the mindset. Like he's there in armor in sort of his head, and he's got a wrist. It's just like they're all sword fighting, but unlike everyone else, he has a shield
Mm.
Yeah.
with the wrist armband, so he is a shield that turns their swords off. So in many ways, sort of like in traditional sword fighting, he's at an advantage because he can technically defend and attack at the same time, as he sort of demonstrates. And,
Yeah,
and also can give you a Glaswegian hello by headbutting you. And injured
I'll
himself.
let you have that one.
Yeah. Oh, and also, Yord even says he doesn't follow the rules of combat and there's no method to his style. No, there's method to his style. It's just not the one you're familiar with.
It's because I saw this analysis and I looked over it afterwards and rewatched the show, and I come to agree with it. His main style is Form 7 Juya, which Mace Windu uses a variant of it called Fapad, which he created. But Juya is aggressive, unpredictable. It's known as the Sith form because no Jedi can use it properly because it relies on untempered aggression.
Ah.
He backs it up with elements of Form 2 Makashi with a lot of one-handed stabbing, thrusting, slicing. Count Dooku.
I've always said that's the best actual form to use for a lightsaber, given the dimensions of the weapon.
Yeah, indeed. That's part of why Yoda didn't like that Dooku A crafted the curved hilted lightsaber and B focused on Makashi so much because it's sort of like he has deliberately created a lightsaber and mastered a form that is about killing lightsaber users. And this was while he was a Jedi, so he's used. So there's a bit of that.
That is a red flag.
Yeah. This was before Dooku trained Qui-Gon. That's how long ago this was.
Yeah.
And then he also utilizes elements of Form 5 Shien, and not to be confused with the legendary Six Samurais boss monster from Yu-Gi-Oh! But it's a Shien is a blaster defensive form, but it's also the favored style of Ahsoka Tano, and is the main form that uses the reverse grip, which he does use a few times throughout those fights.
I hate reverse grip as a concept. I'm sorry.
This is the first time we've seen a lightsaber like dagger, right?
Yeah. Well, on screen, I think. Yeah, I think in some books what was it called? The Shoto saber has been alluded to.
The Shoto is longer than that saber sort of comes out as. Yoda's lightsaber is a Shoto because a full-size lightsaber.
Ah, right. So we've seen short sword lightsabers, but no full-on daggers before.
Yeah, this one has a shorter blade than a Shoto, though that could be a bit of comparison from the size of him versus the size of Yoda, warping it. But the fact it fits into his normal lightsaber handle suggests it is a smaller weapon than even a Shoto.
Yeah, I was saying to Ollie, I do love lightsabers that are other things like blasters and knives.
Yeah.
Lightsaber cheese knife.
Oh,
that is technically what it was. It was a little cheese knife at the end of his blade.
Cheese knife.
Yeah. Me and Ollie actually had a conversation about it, comparing it to the toast knife in Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy.
Yeah.
What about a lightsaber? What about a lightsaber spoon?
I don't think you'd want to put that in your mouth.
Well, you say that.
I've said that a couple of times.
You could probably. I mean, it would probably. You know when you get a tub of Ben and Jerry's out of the fridge and you can't really get into it because it's still a bit too frozen. A lightsaber spoon on a low setting, you know.
What are you talking about? I just lick it.
Yeah, no, a vibro spoon. You put it in, you put it on top, you turn it on, the thing vibrates to the bottom, and suddenly your hand's gone through the bottom of the tub.
Now, Ollie, you know what you need to do if you ever do that again?
What?
You get a fork, you stick it in as far as you can, and then you pull it out and just lick it like an ice lolly.
Right.
And if it starts melting at extreme speed, you put it back in the tub.
Yeah. And that's our weekly ice cream eating tip.
Ice cream with trigger.
Yeah. There's a lot. I must admit, I quite liked that the opening was Osha just sort of coming back after being unconscious, finding Pip, falling over, and then dead Jedi.
Yeah.
Like to sort of show this is not messing around. Smilo Red.
Yeah.
That's the thing. The writing has been consistently good. It's like I you can't fault it. It's like they've done a very good job on this.
Yeah.
I find.
Yeah. To be honest, in the last episode, the show I didn't really have much to say about the last episode, but this one was good. Oh, I've just seen a meme of a Coke bottle with Yoda's head on it, and the guy tweeting it, Tommy Stella, I think, said, "Does anyone want an ice cold Yoda pop? Don't worry, the cap is a twist off."
No, I think that's one of the most insulting things to Jackie in this is that she's been left mere feet away from yours for an indeterminate amount of time now. She is stuck 5 feet away from him in death.
Yeah.
And she seems to have been more prepared for knighthood than Yord was for a lot of
the biggest insult in this episode is their poor fucking guide still walking around lost.
Oh, Basil.
Yeah, who did make it back to the ship and is probably going to be the one who gives the sole survivor of the hint that it is May, not Osha.
Yeah, but no one else speaks. What's it called? Do they?
Yoda did.
Yeah,
Yeah, exactly. No one else speaks to him.
Yeah.
Could speak to him.
Yeah, but if Basil gets sort of visibly frustrated and is making a lot of noise about it, and May reacts differently to how Osha reacts to Basil, it would give a hint away. You don't need to necessarily understand someone word for word to get the basic gist of what they're saying if they're frustrated or agitated.
And Basil might not know to look for the head tattoo, but the head marking, but Yoda would. I mean, Sol would.
Yeah.
Although, as a scent-based tracker, he'd be able to tell the difference, surely, instantly.
Yeah, but he also seems to be smelling the droid mostly at the moment. But we'll see how they resolve that line, and I think it is going to be sort of how Sol actually realizes he's picked up the wrong system.
Yeah, and well,
a lightsaber haircut.
Yeah, and the guy has picked Osha up, and he knows. So this could go interesting places.
Yeah, no, my comment about Osha joining the dark side may be incorrect. They may have Osha. They just choose to ignore it.
Yeah.
Because why are there not more railings on dark side mega structures? That's just a genuine Star Wars gripe I have had for years.
Yeah, what? Why did the cannon of the Death Star's super laser have no railings on that platform?
Well, that brings up an interesting point. Could we actually see Osha being evil, though?
Well, and this is a problem I have with not just this series, but with this whole crop of short series in general. We haven't actually seen much of Osha when she's just being. We've seen her when she's had something to do or a problem to face, but she's had no downtime on screen, so we don't really know what she would or wouldn't do.
Because she'd have to go like full Anakin in 2 episodes, and I don't know if I could, because she doesn't seem to be malicious in any way.
No, I don't think she will.
No, it's. I can see her turning her back on like all of them overall, just sort of walking away, and Smilo Ren either knowing that she's not going to turn him in because she's turned against the Jedi as well, or planning to just have her executed, or he himself is dead by the point. Because from what he said, if he does turn out to actually be a Sith himself, apparently there's been an interview that's come out since the episode aired that confirms he's a Sith, but I've not been able to find it, but I haven't spent a massive amount of time looking for it. And if it's a bait and switch, like the fact it was suggested there was only one sister with all the trailers, and suddenly, oh look, twins, because that is Star Wars' absolute favorite thing to do, is go, oh look, twins.
Basil, twins.
Yeah. Adult twins who were separated either at birth or as young children.
No, twins who are aware of each other.
Yeah, but yeah, because he says like he's got no name and sort of things like that, makes me think that if he is a Sith, again, he is the apprentice still.
Yeah, he's not claiming the title of Sith. He's just saying that that's what the Jedi would probably call him.
Yeah, and there's a theory going around that he could be the originator of the Knights of Ren.
Yeah, because you pointed out to me, and I saw it on my rewatch earlier today when he throws the cloak over
Osha.
Osha. It is Osha. The
Yeah.
the music that plays is a sort of understated Kylo Ren theme, alike.
It's the same music that plays when Kylo Ren alights on the planet at the beginning of Episode 7. And so it's a less bombastic. It doesn't feel like they brought out the full orchestra for it.
Right.
But you also look at the helmet, and it fits in with sort of the Knights of Ren Moffat and Moffat, not Moffat. God Almighty! If he was a Knight of Ren, we're all in trouble.
Yeah.
But he fits in with that, and their philosophy is centered around a red lightsaber, which we haven't had a good enough close-up look to Smilo Ren's lightsaber to compare it to the comic panels it appeared in.
Yeah. Well, yeah, to the Ren, as they called it.
Yeah.
That's why they were called the Knights of Ren. They followed a leader with a red lightsaber that he called the Ren, which was later claimed by Kylo Ren.
Yeah, and the leader also went by the name the Ren until Kylo Ren came along, and it sort of showed where they sort of sit on power scaling of Force traditions. When Luke and Ben first met them after Episode 6, a few years after Episode 6, if Ben was actually there, Aaron can remember it. The entire Order is there, and Luke humiliates them all with just his Force powers. He overpowers all of them and sort of defeats all of them in combat by just waving his hand a couple of times. So they're not high on the galactic Force tradition power level. Oh, but you also got to remember Luke has the same potential as Anakin did, as does Leia technically, because they are the chosen one, and the chosen one literally decided not to do his destiny at the right time. So the Force went, fine, we'll make 2 of them this time.
Yeah.
Got a little sidetracked there onto talking about the possible origins of the Knights of Ren and being explored a bit more, which I would think would be quite interesting.
Oh, hey. If he is the progenitor of the Knights of Ren, that makes the Knights of Ren older than Palpatine. Which I want to happen, because it will piss off the correct people.
Yeah, and also, like, those people, if he is a Sith and they go, see, this is evidence that they know the Sith haven't been extinct for a millennium. It's just like, well, yes, Ki-Adi-Mundi could very well be involved in the cover-up, which has sort of been the assumption since we saw him in Episode 3.
No one has told Ki-Adi-Mundi yet, and he was not there.
Yeah.
It is entirely possible he never learns of it.
Yeah, and as they go, but they'd investigate eight Jedi dying, and it's like, yes, but they also have an assassin who is not a Sith, who is clearly lacking technique, who has killed 2 other Jedi anyway, so they're probably going to blame her.
Yeah.
And it's just sort of like or blame, or the finger will be pointed at the newly formed Knights of Ren, and he fucks off for a while the Jedi hunt him down for 10 minutes and then claim he's dead because they found his helmet.
Yeah, that also could happen.
Yeah, but if he is a Sith, it's just sort of like, but the Jedi didn't encounter them extinct for millennium. It's just like, yes, and Legends had 5 Jedi Masters being slaughtered by Darth Bane and Darth Zana 10 years after the Sith died. A perfectly reasonable time frame to assume that actually you could have missed a Sith or 2.
Also, wasn't the point of the Phantom Menace that the Sith were never extinct?
Yeah,
they were hiding.
The Jedi
Oh,
just
hello.
Hello.
I just got back in.
Ah.
Oh, what have I missed? What have we discussed?
We've basically been through the major events of the episode, but Seb, since you're here, this is Seb, aka Heroes Knights. Please tell us your
God, I
thoughts.
like the new Sith Lord.
Yeah. Well, we don't actually know that's what he is yet,
mean-
but
You're dead. Oh my god.
Mhm.
I did not see that coming. That fight with all the Jedi Soul was awesome in this episode. He was a right badass.
so would you say that you're a soul man?
I'm a soul man. Also, Trigger, you called it with the identity of the.
No, it wasn't Trigger.
No, Mora called it.
Oh, Mark called it. Yeah,
Yeah,
sorry.
I called it.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
gave the
got my
opposite
phone,
side of the
which is-
coin of if
Oh,
it
yeah,
is,
it's just
they're
like it.
doing a very weird mislead with the poison thing.
Yeah. Also, they
Yeah.
mentioned the other theory of it could have been one of the mothers because Osha mentions that he got in their head and stayed there, and she goes, "My mother could do that." So
Yeah.
they clearly knew what the fan base would think.
It could still be a master, couldn't it?
Yeah.
Because we know that there's got to be a master to. Because we assume that this character is the apprentice, right?
yeah, that's my assumption at least.
Yeah, because although they're strong, they're not unbeatable. So,
Yeah.
there's got to be someone higher up the food chain, rather.
What do you think of the? I mean, I quite like the armor that he wears, the Cortosis armor that shuts off sabers. That's
Yeah, I love that. And that's a
cool.
really good reference to Legends as well,
Oh,
because that was something that was used in that.
I know
I believe
several
it was
people
also
who
would love that.
yeah, who would love this if they would allow themselves to.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
also like how he used it offensively.
Yeah. Dan was talking about how he is most likely using the Juyo style, was it?
Yes,
Yeah, I saw a Twitter thread about it.
yeah. We might have seen the same one, and I looked into it more, sort of like because that's what it is, and read a lot of things. That I was just reminded of something else I was wanting to look up because there were some complaints about how did this guy get cortosis because it's meant to be extremely rare, and
I
that's
mean, the Sith have their ways. They've got resources.
yeah. Well, it's in Plagueis, one of his major sources of sort of income is the illegal mining of and selling of cortosis. So it's
Awesome.
it's not like the Sith don't have access to it, but as I remember reading a bit and then wanting to double check, sort of going, yes, cortosis is rarer now, but if my memory serves, and this is what I'm double checking, the Emperor, when he built the Imperial Palace, is in Legends, had a layer of cortosis around the whole fucking building in
Which
case
makes
of
sense.
I
Yeah.
came to try and get him.
Also, on another note, goodbye, Jackie. You look dead.
Yeah. Oh. That was a Friday night dinner reference, wasn't it?
Oh yeah. Oh my god. When he said, "Oh, that was its name." Oh, I
Oh.
love how sinister this Sith is.
Yeah.
So,
Also, he's a
I'm
completely
still-
different person once unmasked.
Yeah, but I like how there's still the humor. We've got a villain like a
Yeah,
Shin
I was saying about the humor, like how he jokes about having a mask.
Yeah.
Why
even
risk
getting it
discovery?
It's
Well, I did
strong.
wear a mask.
Yeah, I love
And my
this
personal my personal favorite, you really couldn't tell it was me.
guy.
Like it was so fucking obvious.
No,
Didn't even think a little bit deep down that it was me.
But it's
Is it-
acted so charismatically, it doesn't stick out.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know why people complain about the acting in the show of all things, because
do they?
well, I say people, people are told to complain about it, but you never see any specific examples
I say people,
when
he
you
says.
ask further. Yeah, because could be bots for all we know. I mean,
Well,
they
this
talk
is the
like
thing
bots
is-
because when you ask them to elaborate, they never do.
Well, the thing is, it's the same people that says this was the best episode. It's like only if you like full action for 20 minutes.
I mean, in fairness,
There's
it was
nothing
very
wrong with that,
action.
but
Yeah.
like
No, that's the thing. I was saying there's nothing wrong with this episode.
I don't know if it's
But-
the best episode, but
No,
it
that's
was
the thing.
probably the most
Everyone's going, oh, it's the best episode. It's like, so what you're telling me what you're looking for is you just want to watch an action film.
fair. I mean, it's one that pumped me up the most. It's probably not the best written one or the most suspenseful one, but you know, the action was pretty damn good.
I was
Well,
saying
so this-
earlier, a big problem for me with this series is a big problem for me with this season of Doctor Who and with other such series. There simply isn't enough screen time for the characters to properly establish who they are.
Well,
And
especially
make
since
us
most
care.
of them are dead now. Yeah, especially since most of them are dead now.
Oh, Hawk's commenting. He said, "Was it effective action?"
I think so.
I
I mean, it
mean,
was very efficient action. I mean, did you see that guy like stab the one Jedi and then force pull the other one into the blade?
Yeah,
That's
Oh, that was a Jedi
Just-
kebab. That was amazing.
yeah.
But that's the thing. For me, this was very much a Bay episode. It was just all action, and it's like they answered one question, and then they gave us 5 more on top of it. And it's like, if they're gonna be consistent and moan about them not answering questions, you can't take that into account and say this is the best episode.
I mean, it is
I mean, it's
like the first episode of the second half of the series, so
Hmm.
it makes sense that there would be a bit more setup.
yeah, it feels like a very strong key change, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
it's
Here's,
gone from-
here's the
Because
thing.
it
Here's the
feels like
thing
these
I'm worried
characters
about.
enough for us to be shocked that they were killed.
Because here's the
Maybe
thing,
one
though.
more episode
I
would have
feel
done it
like
more
they're
effectively.
gonna. I feel like if this is the highest point of action, this is like the big, like scene piece of action we're gonna get until like the last episode.
Yeah.
They're just gonna start complaining the next episode because it's not this episode.
Yeah, this was the fireworks display at the halftime show, is what this
Yeah,
was.
exactly. And don't forget, we've still got a master to meet, assuming we meet the master in this series.
Oh,
So there's still a lot to reveal. You know, we know a lot now, but there's still a lot to reveal.
Hawk
Yes,
says,
he did.
action used correctly in a series needs to be purposeful, not meaningless. I think it served a purpose. It's
Oh yeah, it
just,
served a very good purpose.
it was quite over the top, but also...
No, but to explain to Hawk though, I'm going from the people that are reviewing this and going, oh it's shit, they don't explain everything, and then as soon as we have like an episode that is almost 100% action, they're like, this is the best episode ever, and you're like, so you didn't care about the setup, you just care about the action.
Yeah, also as a series, we haven't had a resolution of everything yet, so
No.
you know, just be patient, wait another few weeks, and then you
Well, that's
know,
the thing.
if you're still not satisfied, fair enough.
I
but,
still
you know,
think these reviewers should wait until the whole thing comes out and give a full opinion on the whole show.
I mean, I think it's fair giving your opinion of it so far, but caveating that things could change as the show
Oh, yeah.
develops.
I would point out there is actually one potentially very interesting action set piece to come ahead, to come in the episodes ahead, because we know that the green woman, her name just eluded me then, and who's been very politicking on Coruscant for the whole thing.
The
We know,
Nestra.
yeah, we
It's
know that
Sinestro.
not far off, is it? Venestra. We know that she is at some point going to be drawing and utilizing her lightsaber, and she uses a lightsaber that switches between a standard blade and a lightsaber whip, as it turns out.
Yeah, we haven't seen that yet.
Yeah, so there is still potentially one interesting sort of there's one sort of interesting action piece that will again raise the blood pressure of certain groups, because they will have to either admit like that there are some good things that Disney can do, or deny themselves some of the best action set pieces in Star
Right.
Wars. It's clearly the only thing they actually want is good action set pieces in Star Wars.
Yeah,
Also, yeah, I'm sure you'll correct me if I'm wrong here, Dan, but I believe in the Darth Plagueis book there was a secret apprentice of Darth Plagueis called Darth Venomous, I think it was, who was like an expert on venoms. So it'd be interesting to see if this character, what's his name? I almost want to say Quicksing, but it's not. the villain. If this character is sort of like a loose adaptation or inspired by that character.
Maybe.
Quimir slash
Quimir, that's it. Yeah, Quimir.
the Master slash Darth Teeth
Or-
slash
Darth Teeth.
Silo Ren.
I'd love it if his Sith
Alright.
name was just Darth Teeth, because
As we're
You know,
calling
they-
him Smilo Ren.
Smilo Ren, yes. I mean, they did play that Knights of Ren music again at the end. I don't know if you noticed.
I'm still sticking with Darth Grinius.
Yeah,
That's nice. Darth Grinius for Glad.
He's always so happy.
But I like how he did the whole, no pun here, high ground thing where he was like, well, you set the rules, Jedi, I'm only following them and I just want to be free to practice, what I believe. It's like that whole, what do you call it, intolerance paradox where, if you're tolerant towards intolerance, then that wipes out tolerance because the intolerant will, wipe out the people who we're supposed to be tolerant of. If we don't, crack them down. So I like how it plays on that.
yeah. A bit about Darth Venomous. He wasn't Plagueis' secret apprentice. He was Plagueis'.
Tenebrous.
Yeah, he was Tenebrous' apprentice and Plagueis' unknown rival.
Yeah.
So after Tenebrous died, they struck out and tried to kill Plagueis, and it's why he was actually used as an experiment subject in the midichlorian test, if memory serves. He, like Tenebrous, was a Biff. So the musicians from the Cantina band.
In fairness, I do want to see Tenebrous just because I want to see the Dark Lord of the Biff.
Yeah, two Sith trained in the style of the Rule of Two have been Biff. Think
Bit
about
of
that.
nepotism there.
Fantastic sort of music act of dark side power.
Yeah, I want to hear the Dark Side flute.
Yeah, no, two
There should be a
march.
Yeah, I want to see the Dark Lord's cheers.
Anyway,
I've done it. No, I was very hyped by this episode. I liked the action. I liked the headbutt, where he headbutted with his armor to turn off lightsabers. I mean, it took me a few seconds to figure out what was going on. I thought he just switched them off with the Force, but then I watched it back and I was like, oh, that's what's happening. It's the armor that's doing that. And I thought that was a really clever way to use it, because you usually see it as armor to prevent, I believe that Darth Vader's armor was imbued by it, to try and prevent him, being stabbed through the chest or whatever. But usually you just see it as armor, and I liked it being used as an offensive weapon. That was a really cool touch.
Yeah.
Vader's armor didn't have any cortosis in it. It had an armor weave cape, which could, like Count Dooku's cape, which could, in theory, resist a lightsaber for a lightsaber hit, but you wouldn't rely on it. The only was lightsaber proof was ironically his right glove.
Hawk's been commenting again. He said, Red Letter Media did a good study of a Trek episode covering effective action. I'll link it afterwards. It's interesting. Have you ever heard the tragedy of Darth Polygrip the Denture?
I must admit, I remember seeing an interview from the costume designer who said that the helmet would be more use than just a helmet. Indeed, she was completely right. It also turns lightsabers off, and apparently stops Soul getting into his head, which I think may more be a result
also,
of you can't see me. I believe you can't get through the helmet, so you can't. More a case of helmets, like any helmet, stopping Force using, because otherwise using the Force on stormtroopers is pointless. But it could be my will is strong and you can't make proper eye contact or mind contact through this cortosis Sith nonsense.
Yeah, and I read that's the reason why they couldn't sense him straight away, because that was sort of like Magneto's helmet, where it's, makes you harder to detect, and people look at this whole sensing people through the Force thing quite weirdly. a lot of characters seem to be able to conceal themselves in the Force quite well. And also, I believe it's harder to sense other Force users in really dense forests and areas where there's a lot of life, which is part of the reason why Yoda went to hide where he did. Other than just the fact it was a dark side Force nexus. I believe it is harder to sense people in the jungle, which is probably why the Wookiee was hiding there.
There you go. Jack's going to like it because a Critical Drinker liked it.
But I'm betting that he still did something like saying, well, it wasn't that bad. It was all right. Like, he can't just admit it was good, I'm guessing.
He's live now.
All right. Oh, no. Anyway.
Yoda, a lot of it was to do with the dark side nexus masking Yoda's light side presence as to why he chose Dagobah and Obi-Wan on Tatooine, because they learned a key piece of information from episode 2. Vader doesn't like sand. And when you're on a fucking respirator, of course you don't.
No.
Because it's everywhere. And
also, with Rule of Two. With Rule of Two, I imagine that one of the first things Sith apprentices need to learn is how to conceal yourself in the Force, and that's how they stayed hidden for a millennium. So I think it makes a lot of sense that he could sort of hide in plain sight, which is again a theme that was established earlier on in the season.
In the interest of heading off complaints, there's an HK47 account I follow on Twitter that was heading off a complaint that, and I quote, 7 Jedi plus an already dead Wookiee Jedi killed off screen, and none of them could sense a Sith nearby. They only drew sabers when Darth Gimp, as they say, had already appeared. The writing on this show is blah 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 blah. And then the guy shows a screenshot of a picture from Attack of the Clones with the Jedi Council sitting opposite Palpatine and says commentary. Coincidentally, 7 Jedi in this picture too with the same problem.
Yeah, it's obviously difficult.
And doubly like obvious thing for Palpatine is why they didn't get it. His office is decorated with Sith artifacts, including a 12-foot-long stone mural of Sith forces murdering Jedi. 2 Sith burial urns, one of which has the rotting remains of Darth Plagueis inside it.
I love how he's just taunting them.
I think we might need to start entertaining the possibility that the Jedi are a bit thick.
So, Danny, you saying they're all red flags?
In fairness, Ollie, how much would you know about the artwork of a civilization from 1,000 years ago? Would you be able to recognise it straight away?
If I was of the religious order that is directly opposed to it, I might.
Well, yeah, but I mean, it's like, who were we at war with 1,000 years ago? Chances are we're not worrying about them now.
Yeah, fair enough.
I don't think we worry about Norman invaders that could cross the English Channel right now. So,
Well, maybe you don't.
I was like, Ollie was one of those invaders.
For millennium. Yeah, that's cool.
I saw him taking part in the slaughter of them.
Hawk says, but how does this compare to other 2009 horror movies? Oh yeah, episode 9 of This Is the Wave will be a review of the film Acolytes that also got review bombed by Star Wars fan. But we're going to be reviewing it as an episode of the Acolytes.
Yeah, that will actually be episode 8 because the first episode of This Is the Wave covered the first 2.
Yeah, episode 8. Yes, this is true.
But Hawk, not Hawk, sorry, Trigger, you were trying to ask a question before Seb and Ollie argued about war from 1,000 years ago.
And so do you think it was a red flag with the Sith artifacts, or do you think it was more of a shielding mechanism? It's like, I'm picking up Sith, and it was like, yeah, it could be anything in his bloody room.
Maybe, actually, maybe. It's like someone who collects memorabilia from, that is a bit controversial.
Would you happen to have anything from the Jedi side of the Jedi Sith War?
Oh no, that sort of thing wouldn't interest me at all, I'm afraid.
No, he goes, yes, I've got the head of I've got a box full of heads from Jedis.
Yeah. And then then you've got like Lord Moman's helmet in the corner talking, and it's like, you're not supposed to be in here.
Yeah, well, it's a red flag, but it's also a sign of Jedi arrogance because the artifacts in question are illegal under Republic law to own any Sith artifact of any sort. And the Jedi who are supposed to enforce this cannot recognize a Sith artifact 3 feet away from them.
I mean, they've basically just been taught to like cover their eyes and pretend the dark side doesn't exist, so that kind of makes sense.
Yeah.
And before, like, none of you are going to complain about this, but before anyone complains about, oh, well, a Sith's been seen alive, you know, this breaks the canon, it's like, who actually thinks that anyone on the Jedi Council is going to believe Sol when he turns up, and even if he does divulge for this meta Sith Lord, who's going to, like, believe him?
Okay, he is on a ship, more or less alone, with May, who he thinks is Osha.
Yeah.
You know, he might not even make it back.
I agree. He might not make it back safely.
Yeah,
He's got Basil.
Very much, especially after that last episode. It's very...
Who understands Basil? Imagine if, like, a rodent came into your house and told you that the Nazis have come back. You know, would you believe him?
You mean like the Bayeux Tapestry or Roman artifacts? Says, oh. Granted, yes, Roman iconography was popular with Napoleon and Hitler, and then he says, lol, like that illegal Sith knife. Yeah.
That illegal Sith knife that, you know, shows exactly where the throne room is on the
God,
crash.
the fucking map dagger.
I hate it.
Map dagger.
Map dagger?
So much.
Map dagger.
So stupid.
It's the dumbest thing there is in Star Wars, and that's saying something.
It's so dumb.
We got it from Captain the Attic, says Hawk.
It's a bargain.
Yeah.
Map dagger.
I want to see like David Dickinson going around the Star Wars auctions getting all the Sith artifacts, or
I have an idea.
Star Wars Lovejoy, where he goes around the auctions stopping the Sith getting their artifacts.
In our D&D game, I'm going to imprint a dagger with the map of Strahd's castle.
Map dagger.
Map dagger.
Map dagger.
Map dagger.
You rolled yourself, Hawk, apparently.
Yeah.
I
mean, let's face it, Coyote Bighead's not going to believe him, is he?
If he makes it back to tell him.
Yeah, it's as I say, after the last episode where it's sort of like, okay, there are 5 Jedi who we haven't had any names, who are just credited as Jedi in their and labeled as Jedi in their subtitle. They're going to die. The others will be safe. It's like, I was wrong. No one is safe. No one is safe.
I think they should have just given those Jedi red shirts and done away with it.
Hawk says, Sith statue, I'll give you £50. Now that's cheap as chips. Darth Dickinson the Bronzed.
And he's bronzed because he went too close to the son of, like, I don't know, Coruscant or something.
You tried to tell me that Dickinson is Icarus.
This ancient talisman belonging to Mother Talzin. It's a bargain!
You know, I question Luke should have had a better tan, shouldn't he?
I've always had a better tan.
Yeah, he lived on a desert planet. He was very pasty, considering.
He was spending all his time at Tosche Station, though.
It's a desert planet with 2 suns and no sunscreen.
I mean, there's no wonder Obi-Wan aged like a prune.
Yes. And, no. Oh, God.
Mine has an explanation. We all know that when the original trilogy was made, both Obi-Wan and Darth Vader were meant to be like 10 years older than they ended up being. But, you know, who cares? Things happen.
Here's an interesting thing to point out to those who argue about Ki-Adi-Mundi's age, and saying that they don't change the age of canon. It's like if they mess up a small detail like this, how are they supposed to get big details in track?
Leia, do you remember your mother?
Yeah. Kissing the sister.
Hawk says 2 sons and no women.
It's in some ways worse than that. Not quite
They got Amy, didn't they?
Yeah, but from the official fact cards of either 77 or 78 for a New Hope release, Luke is 22, Leia, his twin sister, is 20.
Yeah.
They're official.
That bitch has just been lying about her age, is what that is.
Yeah, their official listed ages in episode 4 are 2 years apart from each other, so very hard to be twins with that one. And also, Luke, with the timeline as it is now, Luke would have been born at around the time of Attack of the Clones, not at the end of Revenge of the Sith. And Leia would be for Revenge of the Sith. But apparently, Lucas would never make a mistake like that, and Lucas would never change the age of a character to suit his character.
Speaking
Star
of,
Wars is
I
not.
will once again wish Coyote-Mundi an unhappy birthday.
Yeah, you dick.
He's literally a dickhead.
Your very own birthday to you.
Oh, because there's 2 years difference. That was some long-ass labour. Being in labour for 2 years. No wonder she died.
I was going to say,
She
that's
did
right.
look She was like, oh, I'm fucking fed up with this, I am.
No, because
First my boyfriend strangles me, now I'm in labour for 2 years.
Oh, Hawk said, no wonder she died right after I did.
Brilliant.
That...
I mean, the fact that she did all that and she only had, like, sweat on her forehead, you know, that says a lot.
Yeah. Star Wars is not and has never been this sort of intricate, woven lore that certain fans seem to want it to be.
Yeah, probably the simplest way to put it for people to understand is George Lucas is not Tolkien. He did not design a universe, then create a story. He did not create 3 different versions of Elvish before he created the fucking story. There are Ewok and Hutt dictionaries out there, but they were mostly created by fans later.
George Lucas's approach to different languages, as seen in the making of Star Wars Attack of the Clones, is just speak gibberish and we'll subtitle it.
Yeah, George Lucas is, and no disrespect to either of them for this comparison, is closer to Akira Toriyama in his style of making it, which is I will make it up as I go and I will forget stuff and will adapt around the stuff I've forgotten when someone reminds me of it.
And that's not a bad thing.
Yeah, no, it's like, as I said, no respect to either of them. But people act as if George Lucas is a Tolkien-style figure who dictated to all the authors and all the game makers and all the comic makers and all the children's book makers for it exactly how it was meant to go, and that he created Legends himself and led it. And it wasn't a group of authors with clashing opinions. And the first non-Star Wars film piece of media for it was made by someone who had not watched Star Wars.
The problem is you get the crazies that moan about the they're changing stuff just to make it fit in. I was like, yes, that's how it should be.
Yeah, that's storytelling.
If you want a new series of something, you have to change it slightly so you can get this new thing. I'm sorry.
Also, some of television's best characters just start off as extras or like just one episodic characters. I mean, for example, in Lost, Michael Emerson was only going to be in the show for a few episodes. He ended up being like the main villain for 2 seasons and one of the best characters in the show.
Hawk says, lol, yes, every Legends writer suckled at his narrative teat from infancy.
Also, the cigarette smoking man who ended up being the main antagonist in the X-Files started off as an extra in one episode, and he just got noticed because he was standing in the background smoking. And then he ended up becoming like the main villain of the show.
That's amazing.
That was not the plan. It was just people thought he looked cool, so he just appeared in more and more episodes until he became like the primary antagonist.
Also, I think the people who think you need to plan out every aspect before you even start have A, never written anything before, and B, have never gone through the production process before, because plans rarely survive production.
Well, that's the thing. I think
a good plan doesn't survive attack.
They need to stop picking on retconning stuff and go, yeah, but does the retcon make more sense than what it was before? Because...
Or conversely, does it ruin anything?
Yeah, exactly. Because sometimes it is needed.
Yeah.
There's also a central question that Legends leaves definitively unanswered that also undermines Ki-Adi-Mundi's line within the Phantom Menace, which is, Yoda and Mace Windu know about the rule of two. You know that rule that was created, kept secret after the rest of the Sith were exterminated.
Yeah.
You know that rule that they could not possibly have learnt about because it's one probably like the council can dismiss as Smilo Ren, even if he turns out to be a Sith. Why the council can dismiss it? Because he is subtle. He's using assassins.
Someone's eating snacks.
Isn't the rule of
Sorry,
two just
I'm getting my
assumed as
emergency
well,
shot.
isn't it?
Emergency.
Yeah, I need sugar.
Fair.
Yeah.
Just
And I
because you
still have
only
to
ever
eat
That's what Alan Sugar's wife says when he comes back
Oh,
from
yeah.
work.
just because
Yeah,
you
I had an
only ever
Easter egg
see
still.
two of them, it doesn't mean there are only two of them. It's just very much assumed, isn't it? There's only two.
I mean, the Sith always cheat at the rules, don't they? They always have secret apprentices.
Always two, like Plagueis, Sidious, and Maul, and like Sidious,
Yeah.
Dooku, and Ventress.
What you mean? What you mean is they only travel in twos.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
There's
Darth
a- there's
Vader
a-
tried to
there's-
have apprentices.
There's hundreds of them out there. What are you talking about? So they're just
Yeah.
always in pairs.
It's
They
almost
hang out
like
together.
it's almost like Sith are rarely true to their word, isn't it?
Yeah. It's almost as if they lie a lot.
Yeah, I mean, we know they don't like the rules, so why would they, adhere to their own rules?
Yeah, sorry, Dan,
But,
you were going to say something, I think.
I was going to say, technically,
Yeah.
the new rule should be every Sith Lord has a Morty.
Yeah.
Yeah. A lot of the examples there, Darth Plagueis actively set out to break the rule of two. So that's how they ended up with Maul. Ventress was never considered a true Sith. Vader's apprentices, he never considered them true Siths. He considered them tools to kill Palpatine. He said as much to Starkiller's face. It's more than once.
I mean, that's a fallacious argument, though, isn't it? Like,
Yeah,
if it
but
looks like a Sith, walks like a Sith, uses a red lightsaber like a Sith.
It's not necessarily a Sith because that's how we got the Knights of Ren and Kylo Ren.
Yeah.
Also, now you mention the Knights of Ren, I'm still of the theory that this guy could be an early Knight of Ren. Mostly because of his costume and his look, and also the fact that they use the Kylo Ren theme a little bit at the end of the episode.
Hawk says, I'd watch that every Darth with a Morty.
Well,
And I would love for a
isn't it
Knights of Ren reference in this.
Isn't it the what's it called though as well, where Darth Vader had all like the younglings that didn't survive being Jedi like hunters?
Yeah, that's right.
Technically, aren't they all technically Sith apprentices?
Yeah,
They've all
the
got-
Inquisitors. Like,
Yeah.
the rule of two is bollocks.
It's like, this
Yeah.
rule's bollocks.
Well, what I think's funny is they're called Inquisitors, but they don't ask questions very often.
They do. They go,
Oh,
"Where's the
what do you want? What are
Jedi?"
you doing here? Yeah. What are you doing
Yeah.
here? What do you want?
That's the only question
And
I've heard them
occasionally
ask.
they compliment saloons.
Yeah, and then very occasionally you get like the Grand Inquisitor who's like, "What the fuck am I doing with my life?"
They ask loads of questions. They ask where the Jedi is. Do you not want to die?
Vader, do you want to not do something really stupid?
In your lovely saloon.
I love that guy. He's so jolly. Do you know what? I'd love a show where the Grand Inquisitor and Quamir just team up and like have a laugh because they're both so jolly, aren't they?
I don't know how long the Grand Inquisitor's species lives, but that's possible.
Yeah, because they're just so wholesome in their own weird way. I mean, not wholesome, that's the wrong word.
They're
But
just fun.
yeah, they're just fun. They like fun. They're not human beings. Well, one of them's a human being, but you know,
Here's the
they've got
thing, though.
lives.
Did they imply in this episode that the Sith themselves are just a conjuration by the Jedi?
You could read it that way.
I mean, that's the way it's kind of twisted. I mean, you know,
So all of these rules and stuff are obviously rules that the Jedi have put in place for them. None of it could be true.
Oh, geez, Darth Sidious, is it time to execute Order 66? Says Paul.
Okay, can I go back and just try and finish my point as to why the Jedi would not think that this guy is a Sith, even if he turns out to be?
Go on,
Oh,
Doug.
yeah. Go on, then.
All of the clear breaking of the rule of twos are there that the Sith justify through semantics because that is the Sith way. They're not operating like Siths at the moment. They are such small numbers. They're operating through like proxies, assassins, tanking. for example. They're not raising armies, declaring empires, and slaughtering billions for their own glory. So the Jedi are not going to assume it's a Sith, because when the Sith raise up, they raise up in their dozens to their thousands, and half the galaxy dies. And generally, they know exactly who the Dark Lord of the Sith is because they used to be a Jedi. Because every major Sith order has spun out of a Jedi, out of Jedi renegades.
By the way, tell me if I read this episode wrong, but I got a sense that Saul and Quamir are kind of familiar with each other to some extent.
Well, they met in an
Well,
earlier.
whose microphone is really loud right now?
Sorry?
Whose microphone is really loud right now? Oh, it's gone.
It might have been
Yeah.
mine. I just muted it to cough real quick.
Yeah, it just sounded like there was a jet in the background for a second.
Well, the two met in an earlier episode, and there's a theory going round they'll turn out the two are brothers, which, given we've already had the surprise your twin's not dead twist this season, I'd rather hope they don't turn out to be related.
Yeah,
Well,
that'd
we-
be overdoing it.
We know Ollie hasn't got Jet in his room, because if he did, we wouldn't hear the end of it. He loves gladiators.
I actually,
Oh,
I mean, I watched it when I was 5. I remember the theme tune.
I thought that was a Wings reference for a second.
On the Inquisitors, they're not called Sith, but unlike Maul and Ventress, who do have Sith tutelage, they're not actually given that sort of tutelage. They're not trained in dark side powers.
They've been given the bronze pass, haven't they?
They've been given red lightsabers. They've also specifically been chosen from
Yeah.
those who have survived, who are not
Ollie,
powerful.
I'll send you the picture. If she was in your room, you'd tell us about it.
Yeah.
Uh,
Inquisitors are a different case to Ventress and Maul because they've been deliberately had a load of knowledge and secrets kept from them, whereas Ventress got some Sith tutelage, Savage got Sith tutelage, Quinlan Voss got Sith tutelage, and Darth Maul also got Sith tutelage. It's a lot harder to argue that those ones in particular, but Palpatine and Plagueis were both off the mindset of fuck the rule of 2. We will make more apprentices because we are on the verge of victory. And once we have won, we can have as many apprentices as we want to do our bidding because, of course, never in the history of the Sith have multiple apprentices teamed up to take down a master. It is literally the reason Bane created the damn rule of 2.
Hawk says they can use the Sith gym, but they can't use the library.
They have to use the back entrance. Sit on the back of the bus.
Yeah. So I will concede that certainly by the time of the prequel trilogy, the rule of 2 has lost a lot of its sort of firm structure. But at this point, the modus operandi is still different enough that they wouldn't recognize the Sith, and Inquisitors are deliberately not trained to be Sith because, as demonstrated when they first appeared, all of them, including the Grand Inquisitor, attacked Vader at once, and he won. And this wasn't at the height of his power. This was Vader.
Stronger than you are.
Yeah, this is Vader of, I've had this suit for 2 weeks. I haven't yet created my unique lightsaber form to take advantage of my 3 additional mechanical limbs I didn't have 2 weeks ago.
Also, this is before he got to modify his suit to make it like less deliberately janky, isn't it?
Yeah, so this is Vader at his weakest, and he still thrashes the Inquisitors. Which also then just sort of
solos all of them.
Yeah.
What, you mean he shoots first?
I was just about to say that.
Hey!
Yes. Of course, Vader shoots first. It's just like, it's fucking Vader. It's just all like, you have disappointed me for the last time. He hasn't explained why he's fully disappointed you.
Also, I kind of liked. Sorry.
Yeah, I was going on a tangent.
No, you
Let's
did
try-
cut out, so I didn't realise you were still talking.
Let's try and get back to the show rather than my
Yeah.
base tangents.
On the subject of the show, I quite liked the payoff of the bugs.
Yeah,
How they were kind of used as a distraction.
the Umber moths.
I did see someone complain that the about the light being on his back and him not being able to get it off, but like he has just like fought and killed 7 Jedi.
It
He's
was
gonna
in
be
the
really
centre of
tired.
his back.
Yeah,
Well,
it was on the centre of his back. He
That's
was really
always been a
tired.
weak point.
Yeah,
That's
yeah, he
always
was
been a
tired.
weak point. It's the bit you cannot reach.
Also,
It's why
if you're
you need someone to
focusing all
scratch
your
it for you.
yeah, and if you focus all of your like energies into about the fact that you're about to square off with the most powerful of the Jedi, you know, amongst that group, then of course you're going to overlook like someone charging you from behind. You're not going to sense it because you're going to be fixated on Sol because he's the big threat.
And also, it's not a sense of danger because she's strapping a torch to his back. That as an act is not actually dangerous. It's the
no.
insect torch that is dangerous.
Sam, do you realise that you're humming quite loudly?
I'm not saying it, doing anything.
You're humming. I don't think you realise you're doing it, but you're humming.
Huh.
I just heard you jollily humming while we were talking. Like
I know what he's humming, and I take full responsibility for it.
He's got something stuck in his head. So,
Yeah, it's Trigger's fault.
Quimir-
Trigger's a bastard.
So Quimir had something stuck in his back, and you've got something stuck in your head.
Yeah.
I like how afterwards you just see him like presumably an hour or so later, having just killed all those moths. Like, oh god, that was
like,
annoying.
Right,
obviously
that
they weren't,
happened.
obviously they weren't going to kill him, but it's also a way to not have him injure any more people.
Yeah, it was
also-
quite good. It was clever. It was well set up, and it
Also-
was.
Well, yeah, it shows them having to have that desperate trip to just get rid of him quickly.
Liz,
They know
Liz
they
has been
can't beat
singing it apparently.
Also, everyone who bests another person in the show does it through unconventional means. I don't know if you noticed, because it's like all the fake outs in the fighting style of Quimir. Like, quite often he would lunge at a character, they would try and parry the lunge, and then he would just turn around and stab them in a different direction. It was stuff like that. There's a lot of mind games in the fight choreography in this show.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
And I really
plus
like
by
that.
then he's getting on a bit. It can happen. This week's sponsor is Newman.
Newman.
Gary,
Okay.
did you know that Gary Newman is actually 2 weeks older than Gary Oldman? I think that's ironic.
It sounds like it's a setup for a joke, but
That was the joke. Well, it's true though. It is actually a true fact.
yeah, but no, there's, it's a lot more sort of being smart rather than being powerful in sort of like how to win in the Acolyte, because you got to remember the Jedi are still technically in their golden age at this point. They've drunk the Kool-Aid, but the Kool-Aid hasn't poisoned them yet.
No, they
Or
still
at
think it's a delicious Kool-Aid.
Yeah, or at least it's not poisoned the face.
A succulent glass of Kool-Aid. Oh no, I'm thirsty now.
Yeah, because the Jedi, I'll be honest, the Jedi are surprisingly good at lightsaber combat, considering that realistically they haven't had an opponent for 900 years.
Okay, I'm
Is
just
other-
going to put little X's on the faces of characters who are dead in the poster.
Yeah. Poor Master Indira. She was
I like
so
how Basil's on the poster. That's cool.
yeah.
I like
Poor,
Basil.
poor Master Indira. She featured so prominently in the initial trailers, and she's dead in 10 minutes.
I mean,
Although
the fact that they got quite a high-profile actress to play her as well, I think, makes that even more of a surprise factor.
The thing is, we might get a second flashback episode where she's actually a really big part of it.
I mean, yeah, I think we'll see her again in some
I mean,
form.
presumably the mother down there is dead too.
Don't forget the droid, Ollie. I think the droid's dead.
Well, no, because he has Osha now, and he had the head on his back.
Oh, okay.
So I'm going to leave that one uncrossed out for now.
Oh, fair enough. That was a bit blink and you miss it on my part.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, actually, going back to the just remembered the 7 Jedi couldn't sense them. It's just all like, well, one, there's 8 in that scene. You've just cut it so you can't actually see all of them. I saw the picture in question. And 2, Master Soul did sense them appearing. That's why Master Soul turned around at all.
Yeah.
And then Osha turned around because he turned around.
Why would people do that? Go on the internet and lie.
Here's the most important thing, though. He walked in and surprised a Wookiee.
Yeah.
In the middle of the woods when there was no other Jedi around, and he still didn't notice him.
Oh, Trigger, that was just a Wookiee mistake.
Oh. Yeah, well, we still have the potential to for Ollie to get off on seeing a Wookiee Jedi in action.
I mean, what's that Ollie getting off for? More generally speaking.
For context, I made the joke of stop teasing me with a Wookiee Jedi and then not delivering.
Yeah.
Tease me, baby.
Yeah. But yeah, Master Kelnaka ironically seemed to have the most peaceful death, and that's including a guy who ingested poison willingly.
Yeah.
And Master Kelnaka seemed to be the one most at peace in death. This is like, I've had my leaves, I've sat in my chair, I'm dead.
I don't know even how you do that. How do you sneak up on a Wookiee like that?
Very, very carefully. And again, another complaint I saw about that one was people saying, why wouldn't they have been able to sense Master Kelnaka's death? And again, it appears that Sol does, because he stops randomly while they're making their way there. He pulls the same face he then pulls before he turns to see the descending from above Mary Poppins / Alphabet in while singing Defying Gravity. Smilo Ren coming down behind Osha. He pulls the same face when he senses both of them. And so
Mary Poppins, y'all.
Yeah, so it's entirely possible that yes, he was sensed dying. It's just because of the situation and everything around them, Master Soul couldn't quite place what he was sensing. Because
I would give that scene super points if he was singing Defying Gravity, and then he just ends with and you can't stop me now, and then draws his lightsaber.
No, he goes to fight gravity, and that was going to bring me down. Sets Osha flying, and then goes into "Don't Stop Me Now" by Queen as he slaughters the Jedi.
Just switches halfway through. That would be amazing.
Yeah, I'm having such a good time, having a ball. Pulls the second one onto the lightsaber. Oh yeah, in the action where he makes the Jedi kebab, he then draws his lightsaber out and cuts at least one of their heads off. It's obscured by the tree, but you can see he slices at that height. So he's making sure that these fuckers are dead. Which is a skill that is forgotten going forwards by all fucking Force users. From the prequel to the end of the sequels. They don't confirm that people are dead. And like this guy would have jumped down the reactor shaft to check that Darth Maul was dead after cutting him in half and kicking him down.
I mean, in Star Wars, if you don't see a body,
if you don't see a body, they're not dead. Which
yeah,
another thing we have to thank George Lucas for.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I must admit, when I heard that Darth Maul was coming back all those years ago, I thought it was the stupidest thing ever. It kind of is, but I do like what they did with him.
Yeah.
My
also, the death they eventually gave him was perfect. Sorry, Dragon.
Yes.
If he does get an apprentice, how many times are we going to say now there are 2 of them?
This is getting off the
It's just going to be us for an hour saying now there are 2 of them.
That's what that episode of This Is the Wave will just be renamed. Now there are two of them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I liked that they let Jackie have her own sort of showing off her skills and sort of the training of the Jedi in that. Granted,
Yeah.
it still got her killed because she's 15, 16, I'm going to hazard a guess she's meant to be.
I
Yeah.
didn't know how old she was meant to be. Goodbye, Jackie.
As I said, that's hazarding a guess. I am actually now looking it up.
I mean, she got
Uh,
to use
but-
the dual wielding. Also, I like that Grimir got to use the Shoto blade. That was nice. So I
Jackie,
think
are
in
you
live
okay?
action, it's the
Are you
first time
okay?
we've seen one, right? Other than Ahsoka. I
Are
just
you
realised
okay,
Ahsoka.
Jackie?
We covered earlier that's actually even shorter than a Shoto blade. It might actually be the first dagger we've seen on screen.
A shorter Shoto.
Yeah.
Yeah, a shorter blade because the handle is near enough the same size as his hand, and the first time we see a Shoto blade on screen is episode 2, Attack of the Clones, as Yoda uses a Shoto as a standard lightsaber. It's too big for him. Shotos were literally designed for smaller species, and Jackie is 18.
Well, she's not anymore, but
Yeah,
So
well,
she's-
no,
she's
she's
in 18 pieces. But
eternally 18 because you don't age. They don't count you guess at your birthdays after you die as part of your official age.
They go for
yeah,
all the
I like
perverts
how
out there.
Obi-Wan was loyal to the light side all his life, and he stays as an old man for the rest of eternity. And Anakin betrayed the Jedi and like killed the younglings, yet he gets to be like in his 20s forever.
Yeah, so Jackie has actually had more training with the lightsaber by this episode than Anakin would have had by the end of the Clone Wars.
Mm.
Oh,
And he
and
was
that's
good.
like official training. But yeah, but granted, she's had training. Anakin fought in a war for 3 years, so
Yeah.
a little bit of discrepancy of sort of actual experience. But it does explain how she was able to hold on for so long with the surprise of, well, he's tired after having already slaughtered 5 of us, and I've got 2 sabers. And also, he's clearly not trying to kill her there. He's actually clearly after May.
Yeah.
Because he cuts the saber off. He looks at it for a good 10 seconds, and a lightsaber doesn't go through her chest at the time. Because he's
Also-
sodded off, hunt down and kill May because she was going to betray him.
Also, I reckon that Cormier and almost certainly also Saul are both aware that the switch of the twins has happened, but they're just playing along with it for now.
Oh, he is.
Cormier definitely knows. I'm not sure
Yeah.
Saul does yet, but I think he does.
I don't think he does, but he is very well that he knows very well he's got the other sister because he knows what May looks like and knows that she doesn't have that tattoo is the assumption because he was trying to kill May. He
Yeah.
would not have that she was unconscious when he did
Oh no.
it, or would have woken her up by stabbing her in the stomach with the lightsaber. He clearly knows it's the other one because he's suddenly interested. It's entirely possible he's only trained May because he has a vision of someone with that face bowing to him and serving him in the future. No hints whatsoever to that actually being the case, but it is possible because visions are tricksy. Could be bow. There's now a lightsaber coming out of my heart. Because that was actually the fate of the clone Juror Sabayoth in The Last Command.
He sure,
Mara
knows
Jade
his way,
fell to him.
he sure knows his way into a girl's heart.
Mara Jade bowed to him and then stabbed him through the heart with the original Skywalker lightsaber, or the Youngling Killer 3000.
Yeah.
Sorry. Sorry.
Bless you, Ollie.
That wasn't me.
Oh, it
That
sounded
was
like
me.
your sneeze. Oh, You've got very similar sneezes.
I do have loud sneezes, yes.
Yeah, because you've got a loud one. I assumed that it was you, because Dan also has loud sneezes.
Yeah.
You've got to sneeze
you
in a
not,
petite way.
did you not tell by the fact I was saying sorry afterwards that
I
it was
thought
me?
you were. I thought you were just being like, I don't know,
Apologetic.
overly apologetic.
Okay. With that, I think 90 minutes is about approaching time on this podcast. Do we have anything to wrap up with? What's the general? I think if we can get a conclusion to this. Yeah, this was a good episode.
Yes, it's a good episode. Fantastic. It's some of the best action set pieces we have seen since probably ever in Star Wars. It's like they definitely rank up there with some of like the fantastic ones from, well, the climactic Obi-Wan Anakin duel and the Duel of the Fates.
Yeah, I mean, I'll accept that there could be recency bias, but it's definitely up there for me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Recency bias is a thing, but I enjoyed it.
I've got an interesting question for you, Dan.
Okay.
Yeah.
If they'd made this a 3-part movie instead of the fun that we had last released,
Who did we lose?
Mora, do you think this would have been better as a 3-part movie, and them not doing the last 3 films?
The sequel trilogy.
No,
I
because
don't
this was
know.
clearly designed to be one story.
Yeah.
It's a mix. I think they could have quite possibly done it as a trilogy if if it goes to 3 seasons, then they probably could do it as a trilogy of films instead, because it still has a bit of, as you said, like they've broken a film down into a series.
I say it's very
think
much a Disney trait at the moment that most of their made-for-TV stuff feels like a long movie cut up.
Yeah, but I don't think it. Well, it's just I don't think it would have been any bigger or any worse success than the sequel trilogy was, and I don't think I would enjoy it in the same way if it had been instead of the sequel trilogy. But it's also sort of like there's so much hypothetical with it, especially as we still have 3 episodes of this to go.
Yeah, the landing does dictate a lot, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's like my summation is how I'm with Acolyte at the moment is I'm enjoying it. It's not my favorite Star Wars. It's not my least favorite Star Wars. Also, it's sort of like it sits where the vast majority of Star Wars is, which is I enjoy this.
Yeah.
Yes. And I will watch it.
I don't think there's anything not to enjoy in this. It's I haven't seen anything that really sets me off in any way.
I think the show could use a little more downtime with the characters, but other than that,
Yeah,
well, they'd get moaned at for that, I'm sure.
Oh yeah, I mean, people just don't have the
they're
patience.
gonna
for
get
long-form
moaned at
TV.
anyway.
Do what you want, exactly. You can't please everyone, so may as well do what you want.
If you're gonna get moaned at anyway, do what you want.
Well, hence why I asked if there was 3 films of this. So we had the backstory, her doing the Jedi Order stuff, and then leaving the Jedi Order and becoming a ship worker, and then we had this as the final film. Would that have been better than this one show?
I'm gonna wait until the end of the show to answer that, because I don't know how much they plan to pack into the remaining 3 episodes.
Because I feel like if they'd done it as 1 or 2 films, that would have worked.
Possibly.
Yeah. Quite possibly, but it's like again, this one again depends on the landing of it as to whether it worked better, because it quite possibly would have worked better as 3 films if they do an absolutely awful job sticking the landing. Especially if it's just sort of like, well, why should we care about these characters anymore? But it's a very hard one to say sort of before it's ended. Also, sort of like, no, that thought's just run away from me.
Here's an interesting final thought. How would you like this to end? Would you like good to win or bad to win?
Let's win in that the Sith survive.
Yeah.
Well,
Or would you like a scorched earth policy where everyone dies?
well, the Jedi are gonna stick around because, well, we know
They
they
kind of
do.
have to. Yeah, they
Well, no,
kind
but I
of.
mean, do we lose Soul and everyone on the good team, or do we lose the bad team?
I think Soul's gonna die
No, I think Soul is
maybe in the last episode. That wouldn't surprise me at all.
yeah. I think Soul is definitely gonna die. He's not surviving the show.
Yeah,
They
he's
keep
the
bringing-
mentor, so he, like, Archetype suggests that he's either going to be removed from the equation in a way that he can no longer help the, protagonist, or he's going to die. One of the two.
Yeah.
There's also the fact they keep bringing up that there's more to what happened back then than he's letting on.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll need at least one episode for that. So
Well, we're going to need to because they keep bringing it up, and even the, the Sith guy is even saying, implying there's something there. Like he knows something as well.
So I think we're going to get the second part of the flashback where he explains to May basically what happened.
Yeah, because we've said we can't really believe that a fire did all that.
No.
Yeah,
It couldn't.
and
There is no way in several pints of blue milk that they did.
Oh,
A
you
fire.
make me thirsty again.
You are. Look, I've seen you on Tuesday. You're a thirsty fuck.
True.
You licking bastard.
I'm just like Homelander over here craving some milk.
Ollie hasn't seen it yet, but I get the reference.
Yeah, Ollie doesn't get the reference, but he'll laugh when he sees it.
Oh God.
Oh, by the
Speaking
way,
of,
I'm fully up to date with that show. Let's not go
I've
on a
noticed-
tangent, but I am up to date with that show.
Oh yeah. I've noticed the meme lately where he just walks into a room and someone says something and he just blazes through their skull. That's now just the thing where he walks. They've just done one for like AEW where it's like, oh great, I loved AEW last night. And then there's a woman behind the desk going, but the ratings were really low. That's like, it just lasers through a skull.
Deep thoughts of the deep.
Oh,
I
Homeland.
love that meme. Honestly, the Deep's just the funniest character in that show, but I'm not going to say anymore because otherwise we'll just spend half an hour talking about the show which Ollie hasn't watched.
Because you spent all that time making memes and you didn't even understand what the character was.
Yeah, and now I do, it makes it even funnier.
okay, we're just shooting the shit at this point. So
Yeah, we are.
rounding thoughts up. Strong opening to part 2 of the series. I'm just gonna call the first half was the first half was the setup half, and there was more setup here. The rest of the series, I think, needs to focus on payoff. And let's see how they handle the landing. So, does anyone have anything to plug?
No.
Not really.
No, I don't think we do today.
All right.
there's Assassin's
All right, yeah. Well, I'll just plug my own shit then, which is a wonderful way of wording it. You can, if you have enjoyed this time with me and my co-host, you can catch me and Dan this Sunday for Assassin Sunday, where we'll be playing Ghost of Tsushima. Also,
game.
the best Assassin's Creed game, of course. And also, hopefully before that, I'll be on Warframe with Trigger and Mora earlier that day, if I can get past this single-player mission. Unfortunately, it has a stealth component.
Stop being a bitch. It should be easy.
This is all you've played the entire Assassin's Creed series, and he cannot do stealth. For goodness sake, he sees
He's
the.
always been terrible at stealth.
Leroy Jenkins over here.
Yeah, no, for goodness sake, the objective was not to kill Lucretia Borgia, and he killed Lucretia Borgia. I am not letting you.
Did you just say kill Lucretia Borgia?
Look, I'm a simple man. I see Borgias, I stab them.
Yeah, a sensible policy, but it was not helpful in that moment.
Yeah. And other than that, we have Mafia Monday, our Yakuza / Like a Dragon run through, and Tombury Tuesday, our Final Fantasy run through, before Goblins vs. Strahd on twitch.tv / Eclectic Hawk in the comments there. Where
You're
we
not
are
going to want to because we're getting the fucking aftermath.
where we are playing Curse of Strahd with an all-goblin party. It's fun.
And we've
And
just
we
finished
just
the game with Strahd.
Yeah.
And there's two things. There's something that you and Seb need to remember.
Go on.
You two are asleep and
And
vulnerable,
I'm
and in the
gonna
morning,
eat the
and in the
pie.
mor-
Eat the
and in the morning, you're going to be craving more pie.
pie.
Oh, Borkel's not necessarily asleep because he's being possessed by a 10-year-old brewer who's hungry for justice.
Oh, that's going to make the next thing I'm going to do very awkward.
It'll be a brouhaha.
Well, remember the promise I made. The promise I made after the stream.
Ah, yes.
Yes.
Huh. And on that note, and Hawk says, "But what if they didn't?" Ha!
Yeah, but they did.
Okay.
Yeah, no.
Yeah. All
Oh,
right.
no.
So I think that was everything we tried to plug. We will be back next week for more Star Wars goodness. Well, we'll be talking about episode 6 of the Acolyte, whatever form that takes. This was a strong start to a second half. Let's hope the momentum continues. And
Oh yeah.
all right, we will see you guys next week.
Okay.
Good night.
Night, everyone.
Night.
May the force be with you, and have a good one.
A good fall.